Okay, everyone, welcome back. So, today we're going to be talking about the elections and why I think that Trump should win and Kamala Harris should not. Oh boy, am I getting ready to ruffle a lot of feathers in this one. So, with that being said, let's get it. All right, so first things first, I want you guys to understand usually when it comes to politics, I do not pick sides, okay? I will tell y'all right now, I did not start voting until 2020. I could have voted probably as early as 2008. Okay. Um, I did like Obama as a leader and as a person. Okay. I know he's a Democrat. I've been raised around Democrats. I am very intimately familiar with the way that Democrats operate. Okay. I understand their operations like the back of my hand. You guys may think I'm some kind of hardcore rhino. Oh, he's just a conservative. He's this, he's that. He's just all about the right and, whatever. I don't give a crap, dude. I mean, people are going to dissent. They're going to run their mouth and talk crap. And that's what a lot of people do, because unlike in some of these other countries around the world, in America here, you can run your mouth and get away with it. They're not going to throw your punk, in jail and take away your rights and interrogate you and stuff like that. I'll get into that a little bit later in the video. But for the most part, I've kind of just been strictly in the middle, okay? I usually don't pick a side. I don't go Republican. I don't go Democrat because typically I don't care, okay? I just sit back and watch and kind of observe and see, like, okay, what's happening this year, that year, whatever. I don't usually pick a side, believe it or not. Again, I'm pretty much just a moderate libertarian. I'm in the middle. But I'm a little bit more right-leaning as of lately because I think that, the circumstances call for it. I do. Listen, I will be voting for Trump this year, not Kamala. Okay, I'm not going to vote for Kamala. I'm not a simp, number one. And number two, I'm not going to vote for Kamala because she's incoherent and she doesn't know what the hell she's talking about. She's trying to lead this country down a path of destruction. And nobody around the world respects her as a leader. They just don't. These men that have been doing this for a very long time, okay, like the leader of Russia, like Vladimir Putin, like Xi Jinping of China, like Kim Jong-un of North Korea, and then you got other leaders like the leaders of Iran, the royal Saudi kingdom and all that. They don't respect this woman, okay? They don't care about her. They trounce on her the moment that she walks out the door. But we'll get into that in a minute, okay? So here's why I think that Trump should be elected this year and why Kamala Harris should not. Because Donald Trump, okay, let's go over the former president of the United States, basically his history and his accomplishments first, okay? Trump is a multi-billionaire. Okay, he's independently wealthy. He's wealthier than most of these crypto whales that have Bitcoin or whatever. Okay, his Mar-a-Lago estate is worth over 9 figures by itself. He has a private jet, which is worth over 9 figures by itself. The man is extremely wealthy. Okay, he owns a piece of Wall Street. Most people don't know about that, but he owns some property on Wall Street. For those of you investors out there like, oh, yeah, anti-Trump, oh, the Democrats are all Wall Street. No, guys, no. Wall Streeters are Wall Streeters. It doesn't matter the political affiliation. If you're about finance and you're about the business, you're in Wall Street. It doesn't matter whether you're for the right or the left. So, he's independently wealthy. Okay, he's extremely intelligent. The man has a great level of foresight. He's able to predict things in the future. I'm not going to go over this gift in depth. I myself have it as well. But his ability to see the future and be right about it is shockingly accurate. Okay, it is. So there's that. So having the vision of a leader is extremely important. Okay, being able to see things ahead of time and know what needs to be done and predict the outcomes of certain events before they actually take place, depending on what the situation is. That is, in my opinion, that gives Trump an edge over so many leaders, not just in the Democratic Party, but in the Republican Party as well. So there's that. There's also the fact that he was a president of the United States for many, many years, okay, for 4 years between 2016 and 2020. I'll go into that in a minute. But the other thing is he used to be a Democrat. Okay, he was born in New York, which is a deep blue state. That's the capital of the United States. Okay, that is the finance capital of the entire country. It is also where Wall Street is. Okay, Wall Street basically was born from New York. My lineage is from New York. Okay, I can tell you right now, New Yorkers are very tough people. We're nice, but don't screw with us. That's just kind of the people we are because we can be extremely vicious. I don't know if you guys have seen some of the stuff that's happened in New York, but it's been absolutely brutal. I mean, New Yorkers don't play. They don't. And Trump was born in Queens. He's a New Yorker. He was born in a blue state. He used to be a Democrat. Before he got into politics, he was actually loved by the Democrats. Okay. And then as soon as he decided he wanted to run for president, they just tossed him aside like trash. They're like, you know what? We don't want nothing to do with you anymore. Get the hell out of here. That's how they treat people that are not loyal to them. It's sad, but that's the way it is. So Trump is all these things. Okay. Now, during his presidency, there was a lot of things that did not happen that are happening right now. Okay. There was no inflation. There was no recession. I mean, the pandemic is a different story. That was all concocted by supposedly, allegedly, China. Nobody can really prove one way or another as to what really happened. But, for the first 3 years of his term, economically speaking and everything else, everything was good. There was no wars. There was no economic destruction. There was no inflation. Cost of goods and services were cheap. Inflation was low. Markets were doing good. Housing was affordable. Okay, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the average price of a house in the United States was about $200,000 to $250,000. Now, housing in the state the average price of a house in the state is almost $400,000. So, we can talk all day long about how Trump is, not I don't like Trump. But, listen, I think it's wise and prudent and probably even beneficial for the people of the United States to separate Trump as a man versus Trump as a leader. Okay. You cannot like Trump all day long as a man, but if he's the right guy for the job as a leader, you should want to vote for him as a leader. Okay. Because a strong leader will prevent wars. Okay. There was no wars when he was in office. There's tons of wars right now with the Democrats in office. There is conflict between Russia and Ukraine. Okay, as far as I can remember, Kamala Harris was sent by Biden to Russia to try to negotiate that whole thing and prevent them from invading Ukraine. Matter of days later, boom, they went in. They didn't care. Okay, they completely do not disrespect Kamala Harris. They would do nothing for her, whether she's vice president or president. They do not care. Okay, Russia is a very strong country. Putin himself is actually rumored to be wealthier than Elon Musk, and he's extremely intelligent. He's former KGB. I mean, the man is Russia doesn't have what we would consider to be our form of democracy, but as a leader, he's a strong leader. Okay, and strong leaders respect strong leaders. They do not respect weak people that they see as a doormat that they can walk all over. So Trump was that strong leader. Okay, the reason why these wars didn't happen is because Trump was like, hey, if you do this, there's going to be consequences, and they respected it. Iran didn't do any funny business. Russia wasn't doing any funny business. North Korea, China, they just left it alone. They're like, hey, you know what? It's all good, man. We can peace and abundance everywhere. We ain't got no issues, right? They weren't trying to screw with that, and that's understandable. So, look, there's an adage that I go by when I think about these kinds of things in terms of politics. And it goes like this, okay? Weak men create hard times. Weak men create hard times. Hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times, and good times create weak men. I think we're somewhere in between good times create weak men and weak men create hard times. Okay, we're right in the middle of those two. When Trump gets reelected into office, that can come to a screeching halt like that. Okay, we could be back in the strong men create good times, or I should say we could move forward in time to hard times create strong men and strong men create good times. We could actually avoid the hard times. Believe it or not, we can when Trump gets elected. So let's talk about some of the policies, okay? So Trump wants to drill oil. I agree with that. I think oil should be drilled. I mean, oil is used in a lot more than you guys realize. I mean, the glasses you wear on your face, that's got oil on it. Okay, the cars you drive, that's got oil on it. The planes that you fly around the world, that's got oil on it. Do I think electric cars have a place in the world? Sure. Do I think that they need to take over gas in the next 5 seconds? No. I think that ICE engines and I think that electric cars as individual markets can grow in tandem with each other simultaneously and create GDP expansion and economic expansion, jobs and opportunities simultaneously together. Okay, I don't think that one needs to overpower the other. Um, but I mean, gas and oil is used for literally everything around the world. Okay, you use gas on your stoves to it's different kind of gas, but you use gas on your stoves to basically cook food. I mean, if you didn't have any gas to cook your food, any fire to cook your food, you're gonna starve to death. What are you gonna do, right? Um, so there's that. Okay, the illegal immigration. Let me talk about that real quick. Look, I'm a mixed breed myself. Okay, I'm not entirely 100% white, if that's what you want to call it. Okay, I am part Spanish, mostly Italian, part German. Um, I can't do anything about that. I was just born that way. But listen, this whole illegal immigration thing, it's got to stop. Okay, these people don't belong here. They need to return back home. I don't think that the families that came here as families, with wife and kids and stuff like that, they should be separated. But I think they should be sent back home as a whole unit. Okay, they got to go back. They don't belong here. I'm not against people being allowed to come into this country under the old laws of immigration, where basically the highest standards have to be passed in order for immigrants seeking to become residents of the United States. I think that's the way it should be. The United States is the richest, wealthiest, most powerful, most influential country on the planet. Why should their standards not be the highest on the planet? You know what I'm saying? And let me actually flip the script on this, okay? Look, the Democrats, I'll tell you what the Democrats are trying to do, okay? They're trying to get illegal immigrants to come in here by the masses, offer them up free housing, which is nonsense because the banks don't even do that for United States citizens. Okay, give them free housing so they can, which is actually truly a life sentence for these illegal immigrants. They don't realize it because they don't understand how things work here in America. They're completely ignorant. But look, these people that they're trying to bring over here and give, like, let's say they give them $50,000, first-time home buyers or whatever, even though they don't even belong here. That's a death sentence for these illegal immigrants, because you guys got to remember the Fed funds rate's still at all-time highs. Okay, they just cut, but you're talking 7-8% mortgage rates on a $400,000 house. These illegal immigrants, they're not educated. Okay, they're not going to be doctors or lawyers or anything like that. They're going to work base level jobs that barely pay anything. They're going to be enslaved in the financial system by the Democrats in order to ensure that they vote for the Democrats, vote them back into power so they can never be kicked out, because God forbid there be a fair election process, right? And they're going to basically financially enslave them to ensure their loyalty. That's what's going on here, okay? People don't want to acknowledge that, but that's the truth. So I'm going to flip this on its head and say, a lot of people in this country think that illegal immigrants shouldn't be here. I'm completely opposed to it. I don't think that should be the case. And I'm going to tell you why in a minute, okay? But I would ask the question of people out there that are pro-illegal immigration in this country. Would you go to another country, especially a communist country like China or Russia or something like that, where you have no rights, okay? Whatever the leaders say your rights are what they are. And if you dissent against their country, they'll, lock you up and take away your rights. They might even try to unalive you, okay? Because they don't care. If you try to make them look bad, they'll make an example of you. That's how some of these countries are. They don't care, okay? In the United States, we have freedoms for a reason, okay? But people should be responsible with those rights. They shouldn't abuse those rights. That's why a lot of these countries do what they do on the communist side, because people abuse their rights. They don't know how to respect it. But Would a United States citizen go to, male or female, doesn't matter what your gender, race is, spiritual beliefs, any of that. Would you go to some place like China or Russia and say, hey, I'm here at your doorstep. Will you give me a house and buy it for me on the bank or the government's dollar? Will you pay my way through life and let me do whatever I want to do? Will you let me come here and screw with your people in your country? The people from this country have tried to do that in Japan already. They found out the hard way, okay? Other countries ain't going to play that nonsense. But would you go there and do that to them and expect them to cooperate? You think they're going to cooperate? No, they're not. They're going to tell you to get the hell out, or they're going to throw your punk you-know-what behind bars. They're not going to care. Why would they? You're coming to their country from one of the wealthiest countries in the world. They expect you to come there with money and add monetary value to their country. You know what I mean? That's what they expect you to do. Think about the foreign exchange rates, okay? What's worth more, a US dollar or a peso? A Mexican peso, let me be specific about this, or a Philippine peso, whatever peso you want to use. The United States dollar is worth like 10 times more than the pesos, okay? So why would somebody who's wealthier on the global scale go to another country and expect these governments to pay their way through life like illegal immigrants are getting here? These countries are going to laugh at you and tell you to get the hell out. That's what they're going to do. They're going to make a mockery of you because they don't care. You know, you're a rich person by global standards coming to a poor country with lots of money that's worth more than their currency. They're not going to hear anything you have to say, okay? Truthfully, United States citizens should be grateful they're even allowed to step into these other countries as expatriates, okay? They should be. Because these countries are being generous. They don't have to let you come in. But they do. But I think it should be fair across the playing field. I think if other countries are going to expect their people to come here and the United States has to pay for them, that United States citizens should be able to go to other countries and expect those other countries to pay for the United States citizens. And that's exactly what should happen. And if that's not what's going to happen, then neither one should happen, okay? Illegal immigrants, they got to go. And then people that are in other countries that are United States citizens, they got to come back to the U.S. If it's fair, it's fair. If it's not fair, then it's not fair. It's got to be not fair or fair across the board, okay? The rules have to be universal. They can't be biased. They can't be jaded, okay? That's how the Democrats operate. They're very jaded with what they do. So that's my immigration stance, okay? And this is exactly why I think Trump is going to win and Kamala's not going to win, and Trump should win and Kamala's not going to win, okay? So I'll tell you something about Kamala. Kamala her career path was a prosecutor, okay? That's what she does, or did, or whatever. Her life's mission was to lock people up. Whether they're good people, bad people, it doesn't matter. The fact is that she was a prosecutor, okay? So as a former prosecutor, she's going to become a prosecutor president. Y'all don't believe me when I say this, but if she gets elected into office, bad things are going to happen, okay? Why would you vote for somebody like Kamala Harris who's going to try to prosecute you for posting a meme online, which, again, I don't really care about the memes, but it's just the idea of freedom of expression and freedom of speech. The founding fathers gave us those rights under divine guidance and mandate. Why would you want to vote somebody into office who you think is going to cater to you and your feelings, but really they're just going to take away your rights? Because that's probably what's going to happen, okay? With Trump, yeah, a lot of people may not like Trump because he's a bit abrasive, but he has to be, okay? Look at the way that society and people treat him. He has to be defensive. He has to have a strong front because people treat him like it. If they treated him like the Democrats treat Biden, he'd probably come across as a lot softer and a lot more personable to people. But he has to put on a different hat as the president of the United States and as a politician than he does as a person. Everybody that works in government has to operate this way, okay? They're completely different behind closed doors with their families and friends than they are when they're in office. That's just the way it is. So, you know, the people are waking up. They're realizing that Kamala Harris is a big fat liar, okay? Everything she says is a lie. She comes up with all these fake accents to try to appeal to black folks and Mexicans and all that stuff. And I think it's a comical joke, okay? My best friend is black. Just so y'all know, you'd be shocked to know this, but it's the truth. Okay, my best friend is a black man, and I've been friends with him for a very long time, almost 15 years. Um, you know, and I have a lot of respect for the military. I have a lot of respect for diversity and stuff like that. But it's got to be under the right circumstances. It can't just be all willy nilly and, oh yeah, we're just gonna let the monkeys out of their cage and do whatever they want to, or let the animals roam free. Listen, I'm a libertarian and I'm all for freedom, but I'm all for freedom and structure and common sense. I'm not for people just acting like animals because they're given constitutional rights to do so. I think people should respect their rights and be grateful for the rights that they have and choose to do the morally and societally right thing with them. I don't think people should be going to try to piss people off because they think it's a good idea to do so. And the rhetoric coming out of the left, for the hate speech, and it's funny how the left wants to say they're anti-hate and, oh, we love everyone, everybody's included, blah, blah, blah. But then they want to create this hate speech that causes people to want to go try to assassinate the former president of the United States. It's absolute lunacy. So what I'm saying is that Trump should, look, if you want to have a bright future, if you want life to be good, you're not going to get everything that you want, okay? In no situation is everybody going to get everything that they want, but the vast majority of people can win the vast majority of time with Trump being elected, okay? You can have a good economy. You can have your freedom, your rights to freedom of speech, freedom of expression, all that stuff retained, okay? The border can be secure where Americans don't have to feel like they're going to get unalived by some illegal immigrant that just pops out of nowhere for whatever reason, decides that they don't like you one day, whether you're a male or female, doesn't matter. There can be peace across the globe where there doesn't have to be international conflict. Nation states trying to destroy each other for whatever reason, dominance or political views or money or whatever it is. There doesn't have to be a recession. There doesn't have to be economic collapse. There doesn't have to be inflation. There doesn't have to be all this chaos and, store looting and people causing riots and all this other nonsense that has happened. None of that stuff has to happen. And I can tell y'all right now with certainty that I believe that with Trump being in office, more people will win than will not, including people on the left. People on the left think that if Trump gets reelected, it's going to be all doom and gloom for them. Listen, they don't want Trump to be reelected out of fear. That's really what's going on here. I can tell you guys, as someone who sees more than you can know, the people on the left don't want Trump to be reelected out of fear that they might lose something, or they might get in trouble, or they might get held accountable. I can tell you all right now, that's likely not going to be the case, okay? Again, Trump, when it comes to like abortion and stuff like that, Trump said that he would give the states the discretion as to do those things. If he's willing to give that discretion to states as to that part of, the different topics that politicians talk about, then why would people on the left think any differently about any other topic, okay? Like, oh, well, they're going to take away our LGBTQ rights if Trump gets elected. Probably not, dude. Probably not. If you're gay or lesbian or homosexual or transsexual or whatever, he don't care. Okay, Trump doesn't care. Why would he care? He's the president of the United States. He doesn't care about your personal preferences or your genders or your pronouns or any of that crap. Okay, he doesn't care. What Trump cares about is that, America is America first. Whatever America is, whatever rights these people have, he will delegate authority to the states as to what it should be, okay? That's just the way Trump operates. He's too busy, okay? Not only would he be president of the United States, he's got businesses to run, okay? He's got a family to take care of. He's got money to manage. He's a billionaire, okay? He ain't got time for all this nonsense of all these people's personal preferences. He doesn't care about that. He cares about the well-being of the country and of the world. That's what he cares about. And I'll tell you guys this one last thing about President Trump, okay? And before I do that, I've actually considered personally requesting a seat at the table with the RNC because I think, if I'm not really a politician, I don't care about politics, but I think I could do a lot of good in helping the Republican Party guide this country in the direction that they should be going for the benefit of all people in this country. And I've considered taking a place among them, and maybe even being like an advisor to Trump or something like that to help him in his campaign to create a better life for everybody here. Okay, I've considered that. I've actually considered reaching out to them and saying something about that. So whether they choose to take it or not, that's their choice. But regardless, I'll still love my life. I'll still trade, invest, all that stuff. We'll still be here doing YouTube, all that jazz. But look, I can tell you all this right now, okay? Trump doesn't, the ironic thing about Trump is he doesn't even need to be a politician. He doesn't need to be in office, okay? He's a billionaire. He's rich. He's already influential, okay? He's been on, he was on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air with Will Smith and all that. He's done The Apprentice. He's done a lot of things. He's a very wealthy man, very influential. He always has been for a very long time. He doesn't need to be president. These other politicians all try to fight to become president because it gives them some kind of prestige or, inside favor or government favor or something like that, or they get the ability to create wealth from nothing, which a lot of politicians do. I'm sure you guys have seen like Nancy Pelosi's trades and stuff like that. He doesn't need any of that. Okay, he's already rich. He doesn't need the riches because he's already rich. He's not, when he was in office, he never even took a salary as president. That should tell you something. So he doesn't need the money. He doesn't need the influence because he's already influential. He doesn't need women or popularity because he was already popular with women and among people before he ever even became a politician. It was only when he became a politician that they started hating on him. He doesn't need any of that stuff, okay? There's only one reason why Trump is going back into office, because he sees, and this was predicted a long time ago by Trump himself. You can go look this up if you don't believe me. Trump predicted when he was asked if he would become president of the United States a long, long time ago, 10, 20, 30 years ago, whatever it was, on TV. He said he likely probably wouldn't do it, but if he felt something along the lines of if he felt like the country was going south, that he may consider taking office. In my opinion, that's the only reason why he's taking office, wanting to retake office in the United States again, because he sees how bad the country is and he wants to fix it. Because he loves the people. He cares for the people. Listen, sometimes if you, like God says, if you love a child, give them the rod. If you don't love your child, spare the rod, okay? Spoiled children who are undisciplined, how do they usually act? They act like spoiled brats, okay? Children that are disciplined and raised properly with the right moral standards in place by their parents usually become upstanding, strong citizens of society. Trump's going to have to treat these world leaders just like that, okay? And the politicians in office just like that, so that the country can benefit as a whole and the people of the country can benefit as a whole. So that's my little speech today on Trump and Kamala Harris. Look, I think if the Democrats had proposals or they were that were worthy of, that were deserving of my attention, okay, if they were capable of being the leaders that I thought that they would be capable of being for the benefit of the country and of world peace, they would have my attention. I would have considered voting for them, okay? But the Democrats are just a sham. They're a sham. They're a former shadow of themselves at this point. They are no longer what they used to be, okay? I'll just put it like that. They've gone from being for the people to, if the people aren't for us, then, F them. We don't care. Throw them in a cage. If they're not going to be for us, then we'll just bring all these people out of country that will be for us, because we want loyalty and we're not going to accept anything less. They're becoming more and more and more like communist parties, okay? Whether y'all want to admit that or not, that's the truth. So this is the reasons why, in my opinion, Trump should be in office and Kamala and the current Democrats should not. So anyways, love, peace, and blessings. I'll see y'all later. Until the next video.